Today is our first uh, webinar here at Ortiz Equity Group that we're holding. It is why we love multifamily in the US over Canada. I'll be doing the presentation myself as my partner Jeff is having some technical difficulties. So we hope to have him either later or at another episode of another webinar that we'll do probably in the next couple of weeks. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in here. And we're going to go through some of the slides here. Okay, we're going to be taking a look at some of the table of contents, which is the introduction to the team, our top 6 reasons why US versus Canada, some of the economics and migration. We'll be explaining a bit of taxes implications and showing some graphs, investing opportunities, and that will be it. Okay, so who are we? Who is Ortiz Equity Group? We are a team of experienced real estate professionals who specialize in acquiring and managing multifamily properties in the US. We understand the challenges of investing in real estate, especially when you are short on time. That's what we offer, a passive investment opportunity that allows you to invest in a diversified portfolio of multifamily properties without having to worry about the day-to-day management. You may ask, who's our team and what is our track record? Here, our team has about 50 years of collective real estate experience and has a track record of success across various industries ranging from hospitality, technology, small businesses, and finance. And I'll just go here one by one. We have Charles Seaman, who is a managing partner, Paul Sr., who's also a managing partner. We got Prashant Kumar. We've got Ryan Murphy, and we got myself and Jefferson as well, John Ortiz and Jefferson Ortiz. Some of the track record includes collectively 17 deals completed to date, and that's 17 full cycle deals from start to finish. 1,647 units under management, 146 million asset under management, and 250 million in total transactions. And some of the assets that the properties are being managed and owned are in North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Texas, Indiana, and Arizona. So lots of good variety of different states, different zones. So that's always good to see. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. Okay, here we have our top 6 reasons why the US versus Canada. So let's go through them and see why we love the US. Number 1, better landlord rules. Eviction process in the US. The eviction process is generally faster and more streamlined compared to Canada, allowing landlords to regain possession of their property in a timely manner in case of a non-payment or other lease violations. So in the US, the eviction process is generally easy and faster compared to Canada. So you're able to turn units over and be able to succeed faster on your business plan when you're performing on a unit. Now, the security deposits in many states around the US, landlords are allowed to charge a larger security deposits, providing them with a greater level of protection against damages or unpaid rent. Property inspections in the US, landlords are allowed to conduct more frequent property inspections, which helps ensure that the tenants are adhering to the terms of their lease and not damaging the property. So you're able to get good bones on a property even after you've put the work in. You're able to make sure that it's staying in a good shape throughout the life of the investment. Lease terms in the US, landlords have more flexibility in setting the terms of their lease agreements, allowing them to customize their agreements to better suit their needs and preferences. That could be a month-to-month lease, higher security deposits, 6-month leases, and just more favorable terms in regards to the landlord to make sure that they have the correct power over the tenants, so that in case something goes wrong, it's fairly done. Landlord-tenant laws. While the landlord-tenant laws can vary from state to state in the US, they generally provide landlords with more rights and protections compared to Canada, giving them a greater control over their properties and tenants. We tend to focus more on the red states, like this Sunbelt region, for example. Those are great areas that we invest in. They have great landlord tenant laws that are fair to investors. So this is exactly why we love investing in the US. We don't have that here in Canada. The government protects tenants very, very much. As if you're an investor, you would know exactly what we're talking about with rent control and just the government essentially protecting tenants here in the multifamily space or just real estate in general. Better landlord rules, renter-friendly versus landlord-friendly states. So here we have some of the landlord-friendly states that we like to invest ourselves. So we've got Idaho, Illinois, Ohio, New York, Arizona, Texas. So these are all landlord-friendly states. And renter-friendly states are the ones in blue, which are Wisconsin, Kansas, all those other good states as well. Number two, better inventory. The population in the US has a much larger population than Canada, resulting in a higher demand for multifamily housing units. This increased demands this means that increased demand has led to development of larger properties with 100 units to meet the needs of the market. What does this mean? I believe when we did a report last week on our podcast, it said that Canada has around 3.3 million apartment buildings for multifamily, and the US has close to 43 million. So that's a huge jump, huge difference. So the inventory is a lot greater. There's more inventory of 100 units portfolios where you've got apartment buildings, garden suites, townhomes, and all these units are essentially a community gated with amenities, and it's just a really nice asset class. Another thing is a market saturation. The Canadian multifamily real estate market is highly concentrated in a few major cities, resulting in a small pool of properties that meet our investments criteria of 100 units. Plus, in contrast, the US has more fragmented markets with a greater number of mid-sized operators, leading to a larger pool of properties with 100 units plus. So as we know here in Canada, the multifamily units are, within a few kilometers of the major cities, resulting again in a smaller pool of inventory and operators, and essentially just a better ROI on the investment. Development trends. There has been a trend in recent years towards larger multifamily properties in the US, with developers focusing on building properties with 100 units plus to meet the growing demand for housing. This has contributed to a larger pool of properties with 100 units plus to meet our investment criteria. So sellers want to sell more inventory, better deals that we're able to get under our belt and perform on them. Financing options in the US. There are more financing options available for multifamily properties, including loans specially designed for larger properties with 100 units plus. This has made it easier for investors to acquire and finance this type of properties, contributing to the larger pool of available properties. So the amount of financing and creative financing that we're able to get in the US is just a lot better, a lot more different banks, loan officers, different terms, interest only if the plan is to go in there when you get a good deal and renovate the unit and then sell it off in a hot market, you're able to do only interest payments at a really low debt to income ratio, so that you're able to keep your funds up and work within your means of the reserves. So we're going to go ahead here to the next slide. According to, this is still part of number two. That's my apologies there. According to the report by the CBRE, the US had a total inventory over 6.3 million multifamily housing units in 2020, compared to just over 2.6 million units in Canada. Additionally, the same report found that the average size of a multifamily property in the US is larger than Canada, providing more opportunities for investments in a larger properties that meet our investment criteria of 100 units plus. Furthermore, data from the National Multifamily Housing Council shows that 44% of multifamily units in the US have over 50 or more units, with 17% having 100 or more units, providing a significantly pool of properties that meet our investment criteria. So that's better for us, essentially. Better lenders. The US has a larger, and when we say larger, we really want to emphasize on that. The US has a larger number of lenders who are willing to provide financing for multifamily properties compared to Canada. This is because the multifamily real estate market in the US is larger, more fragmented, creating more opportunities for lenders to provide financing for a variety of properties. Some of the benefits of having more lenders to choose from include more competitive rates. With more lenders in the market, again, borrowers have more options to compare rates and terms, resulting in more competitive rates and better loan terms. Another great point is greater access to capital. Having more lenders in the market means that borrowers have a greater access to capital, making it easier to finance larger multifamily properties that meet our investment criteria. 3, another great point here is more specialized lenders. So in the US, there are lenders that specialize in providing financing for multifamily properties, offering unique loan products that tailored our needs on the market. This can make it easier to find the right financing solution for a specific property or an investment strategy, such as seller financing, for example. More flexible loan terms. With more lenders in the market, borrowers have access to a wider range of loan products with more flexible terms, such as interest-only loans, longer AM periods, and lower down payments as well. According to a report by the National Multifamily Housing Council, the multifamily lending market in the US is dominated by a few larger banks, but there are also many other lenders in the market, including smaller banks, credit unions, and non-bank lenders. In contrast, the Canadian multifamily lending market is more concentrated among a few larger banks, which may make it more difficult to have access to financing a variety of lenders. If you have done a multifamily deal in the past in Canada, you know that we only deal with the 4 big banks, some credit unions, and private lending. And that's pretty much it. And it's very tight and leaning across the board. So this is another reason why we love investing out in the US. Superior growing economies. My apologies there. There are several reasons why the US has better growing economies than Canada. So when we were getting ready to present this webinar, this was one of the big things we wanted to talk about, was the growing economies and the difference between gross domestic products between both countries. And again, US just can outdo Canada almost in every sector you can think of. And we'll get it started here so that you can see larger and more diverse economy. The US economy is larger and more diverse than the Canadian one, which provides more opportunities for growth and innovation. The US is the home to many global companies, including many tech industries, which helps to fuel the economy growth. Another great point is lower tax rates. So the US has a lower compared tax rates than Canada, which makes it more attractive for businesses to invest in the US and can help stimulate the economy, the economic growth. Stronger job growth. The US has consistently outperformed the Canadian in terms of job growth in recent years. For example, in 2021, the US added 4.6 million jobs, while Canada added just 156,000. So we're talking a huge difference in those numbers. And according to the data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Statistics Canada, these were some of the numbers that were pulled out just last year. And I wanted to mention, I believe it was in January, the US added close to 450,000 jobs just in January alone, while Canada only added 56,000. So you can see that again, the difference in employment, economies, and the growth of the population and how it's moving in different speeds, to say the least. Greater consumer spending. Consumer spending is a key driver of economic growth, and US has a larger population with higher levels of consumer spending than Canada. More favorable business environments. The US has a more favorable business environment than Canada in many aspects, including regulations and the legal system as well. These factors translate to better investment opportunities, is essentially what we're getting here. Stronger economic growth leads to higher demand for real estate, which can drive up property values and rental rates. In addition, a favorable business environment can attract more businesses and jobs to the market, which can create more demand for housing. According to, what happened here? Wait 1 second here. Okay. Guys, just bear with me here, trying to fix the slides here. All right, my apologies there. Superior growing, we'll continue here in the economies here. According to the data from the National Multifamily Housing, the real estate market has continued growth in recent years with an average rental rate increased by 2.5% in 2021. In contrast, the Canadian multifamily has seen more modest growth with the rental rates increased by 1.5% in 2021, according to the data from the Atlas Group. Overall, a stronger economy growth in the US translates to better investment opportunities in the multifamily real estate market. Another reason, number 5, is easier to manage. Managing some of these multifamily properties with larger units, such as the ones that have 100 units plus, if not 200 plus, can be easier and more efficient compared to properties with smaller units. And we have prepared some examples here for you. The economies of scale, for example, managing larger units can benefit from economies of scale, which means that the cost per unit decreases as the number of units increase. For example, there may be lower maintenance and repair costs per unit for a larger property compared to a smaller one. Professional management. Larger multifamily properties often have on-site management staff, which can help to ensure that the property is well maintained and tenants' needs are met in a timely manner, which is very, very important. Consistent rental income. With more units, there is a larger pool of tenants, which can help to ensure consistent rental income. Even if a few units are vacant, there are still many others generating income. Another great point is streamline operations. Managing a larger property can be more streamlined compared to managing multiple smaller properties, which can require more time and resources. So we're talking about owning, for example, 6 single-family homes can be very time-consuming as far as maintenance, repairs, locations, etc. Better access to resources. Larger properties may have better access to resources such as maintenance contractors, service providers, and financing options. This can also ensure that the property is well maintained and that any issues are addressed quickly. So most of our properties that have 100 units plus have a leasing office with a management team that takes care of all the paperwork trail, takes care of all the tenants' needs, maintenance and repairs, and that they're meeting the level of service that we're acquiring for our investors. Better business plans due to more affordable landlord rules. Having more affordable landlord rules in the US allows for better business plans for real estate investments. This is because the rules and regulations in the US provide more flexibility and opportunities for investors to maximize cash flow and execute their business plans more effectively. For example, in the US, landlords have more control over the terms of the lease agreements, including the ability to charge higher rents and impose fees for late payments or damages. This can lead to increased cash flow and more predictable revenue streams for our investors. Additionally, the eviction process in the US is generally faster and more efficient compared to Canada, allowing landlords to more quickly remove problematic tenants and minimize losses. Overall, the more favorable landlord rules in the US provide more opportunities for investors to execute their business plans. So I'll give a quick example here. In Arkansas, for example, you can potentially go to jail if you don't pay rent after 14 days. So just putting that on the table, that's how some of the states have some serious guidelines and regulations across the rental board. Economics and migration. So let's talk a little bit about that. The Sun Belt region, which is our favorite one, which includes the southern and southwestern parts of the United States, has been experiencing a significant economic and demographic growth in the recent years. Some factors contributing to this growth include, before we get into this, we're talking about populations in the US that is rotating over from the north to down to the south. So population migration, with not just coming into the US, but migrating from a different part of the US down to the Sun Belt region. So job growth. Many Sun Belt states have been experiencing strong job growth driven by industries such as tech, healthcare, and logistics. This has attracted many new residents to the region in search of employment opportunities. So all these big tech companies and industries are moving to Arizona, Texas, because there's better business rules and regulations and lower taxes for them, which creates more job growth across the board. Lower cost of living. Compared to many other parts of the country, the Sun Belt region has a lower cost of living. With more affordable housing, lower taxes, and cheaper consumer goods, this has made the region attractive to both individuals and businesses looking to save money. Another thing is the climate. The Sun Belt region is known for its warm and sunny climate, which has attracted many retirees and other individuals looking for a more chill climate compared to other parts of the country. Migration patterns. There has been a trend of population growth in the Sun Belt states, with many individuals and families moving from colder northern states to warmer southern states. This has led to increase the demand for housing and other services of the region. Who doesn't want to be around the sun and have better weather all year round? I would put my hand up in a second and move there, of course. Business-friendly policies. Many Sun Belt states have implemented businesses-friendly policies such as lower taxes and reduced regulations, which have attracted many companies to the region, and this has led to increase the economic growth and job opportunities in all states. Excuse me, just give me 1 second here, guys. I'm gonna grab a quick water. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move over to stats and data. And here are some statistics that highlight the economic and demographic growth in the Sun Belt region. Job growth from 2010 to 2020. Sun Belt states of Texas, Florida, and Georgia were among the top 10 states with the highest job growth rates in the US. Population growth, according to the US Bureau of Council, the Sun Belt states of Texas, Florida, and Arizona were among the top 5 states with the highest population growth rates between 2010 and 2020. Texas had the highest numeric population growth during this period, adding over 4 million residents. That is a huge, huge, huge number there. A business-friendly policies. Several of the Sunbelt states have been recognized for their business-friendly policies. For example, in 2021, Texas was ranked the best state for business by the CNBC, with Florida, Georgia, and also ranking Arizona in the top 10 as well. Real estate market growth. So this is, and again, another reason why all these big tech companies in every sector, such as healthcare, tech, want to move here, and they have been moving and establishing grounds in some of the states. Real estate market growth. This is another great point here. According to the report by the CBRE, several Sunbelt markets, including Phoenix, Atlanta, Dallas, Orlando, are projected to see strong real estate market growth in the coming years, driven by factors such as, again, job and population growth. Migration patterns. So according to the report by Redfin in 2020, the top 10 metro areas with the highest net flow, with the highest net inflow of Redfin users were all in the Sunbelt states, including Phoenix, Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, and these suggest that many individuals and families are relocating to the region in search of job opportunities and lower cost of living. Migration. Now, when analyzing two markets, when we're putting this together, when analyzing the two markets, there are two types of migration as that have different underlying reasons and implications. The migration to the Sunbelt region in the US is driven by factors such as job growth, population growth, and lower cost of living, which can create opportunities for real estate investors. On the other hand, Canada's policy of accepting refugees is a humanitarian effort to provide safety and stability for individuals who have fled their home countries due to persecution, war, or other crises. Both types of migrations have their own social, economic, and political implications and should be viewed in their own context. Another interesting factor to look at when comparing these two countries is Canada is the second biggest country in the world. However, majority of Canadians live in the province of Ontario and Quebec, as we all know, and there are two most provinces in Canada as of 2021. Ontario has a population of over 14.7 million people, while Quebec has a population of over 8.6. Together, these two provinces account for more than 60% of the total Canadian population when comparing to the US, where people migrate depending on political and economics.
I'll come down, hold
up. Taxes when investing in the US. Below, you will find a graph that is used by our professional accountants and lawyers across border that specialize in cross-border transactions for real estate, with the most efficient way to invest passively in the US. Just want to put a disclaimer out there. We are not CPAs, so please do not take us for accountants or lawyers or anything like that. But this is how we invest passively in the US to be able to protect and grow our investors' wealth. Essentially, the Canadian individual would invest into a limited partnership, and the limited partnership will then be the shareholder to some of these LLCs where the properties are being held and managed. If you are more interested in learning more about this, we'll be happy to jump on a call and go over it in a more detailed explanation. We can also call or have our accountants on the meeting, and they'll be able to explain a little farther as to why this is the most efficient way to avoid any sort of double taxation or any implications down the road. All right, here we're just going to talk about a little bit about investment opportunity that we have. If you're interested in learning more about us in the future, you can visit our website, ortizequitygroup.com, and schedule a call. We'd be happy to chat and provide any value that we can. Our investment opportunity right now is in the beautiful state of Atlanta, Georgia. Is a 236 units garden suite apartments, 20% targeted annual return, 7 to 10% preferred return. These are healthy, strong numbers in a very, very big, major real estate market. So again, if you're happy to invest and get some of this great numbers here, 7 to 10% cash on cash, and if you have any questions, again, please visit our website or schedule a call with us. It is just want to put it out there, it is an assumable loan at 3.4. So these are rates from back in 2018 that are non-existent, and there's plenty of life on it. So we're very happy to have this deal and be able to present it and have opportunities for our investors as we continue to raise equity. There's only a couple spots left. So again, if you're interested, you can always schedule a call with us. Yeah, thank you all for joining. This is our first webinar today. So again, it was recorded. We will be having these, I believe, every 3 weeks, where we will have a topic and provide as much value and explanation as we can onto a topic of multifamily real estate in the US. As we continue to grow here in the US, we would like to invite you to join our investors list to be notified of any investment opportunities that may come across the board in the future. You'll have access to exclusive investments and updates of our portfolio. We look forward to working with you guys and helping us achieve our goals here. So it was a pleasure having you all.